What's your reason for not drinking alcohol? Because I always overdo it and have a hard time stopping once I start. 1 drink. What's the point? 2 drinks. Make it 3. 3 drinks. Fuck it, I'm getting blackout drunk. I can't do moderation. This was me 100%. Every party or gathering in my teens and most of my 20s started with me being excited to go be there and meet new people and always ended with me being shit-faced, puking and passing out. Super fun stuff. Are you me? Are you all me? How many me are there? Can't handle the hangovers anymore. They now last days. I've started a routine of drinking at least 5 glasses of water and having a bowl of ramen, for the salt, whenever I drink. Never had hangovers after I started doing that. Edit. After further research I found that there's not a lot of evidence to support this method doing much for hangovers. In college we used to chug beer out of a hollow plastic lawn flamingo with the beak tip cut off and a large hole in its stomach to pour the beer in. Every night that I'd drink I would come home and fill that flamingo with water and chug it. It was a very powerful hangover prevention device. But now I've been sober for 3 years and it's quite enjoyable. Social drinker, and not a social person most times. I'll drink with friends. But we live apart so we see each other a few times a year at best. Never interested in drinking alone. So I typically don't drink for months at a time and don't think twice about it. Such a simple, yet effective strategy. I grew up around alcohol abuse. Yet both my parents were alcoholics. I saw what it does to the drinker and the people around them. It's a no for me. My grandparents, both of my aunts, one of which died from liver failure from alcoholism, my uncle, and both of my sisters are alcoholics. My mom has other issues, she is a medication type addict, and I'm just raw dogging life. Same, alcoholic father here. I have no interest in drinking. I always find it very interesting in some studies that say if kids grow up in an alcoholic/substance abuse home, they too have a higher chance of developing those habits and or marry other abusers. However, from my personal experience, I never ever want to touch alcohol or be around people that abuse it. I was one of those statistics. Alcohol and heroin addiction. I have 16 years off the needle, but I still drink. Not nearly as much as I used to, but I know my limits on alcohol. No more jails, no more homelessness, no more stealing or breaking into cars, etc. I'm so much different than I was 20 years ago. Lost all my friends to ODs. I was gifted a second chance. I don't like the taste, I don't like being drunk, I don't like being hungover, and I have better things to spend money on. I am terrified of not being in control of myself. Not in an addict sort of way. I just hate the way people get drunk and do shit without even knowing what's going on. Usually terrible things. I also grew up in a family that didn't really drink. They might have a few beers over the course of many hours, but never in excess, and never drunk. It would only be on specific occasions also. Edit. I don't abstain from drinking. I only have 5 to 10 drinks per year. 100% agree. I drank quite a bit in college, never really enjoyed any hard alcohols, and I somewhat enjoy beer. Can't stand wines, and I've tried quite a few different types. Anything stronger than beer and the alcohol flavor just overpowers everything else. Now, I have less than 1 beer a month. I really only drink socially, like if we go out to a steakhouse or a burger joint, I might have a beer with dinner. I literally bought a 12-pack of beer about 2 years ago and I've still got half of them left. When I was 16, I saw my older brother, who has always been an example to me, drunk at a party and passed out. He became ill and we barely had time to call an ambulance. After that incident, I realized that alcohol is an unpredictable thing and I don't want to be in that state. Maybe that's too categorical, but I feel more confident when I'm in complete control of my actions. So it's just my choice not to drink. I don't like the person I can't remember that I am when I drink. Plus, alcoholism runs on both sides of my family and it feels good to break the cycle. Edit. Thank you for the awards and kind words. I hit 1 year sober on the 6th of next month and I never in a million years would have thought I could have achieved this. And I know it sounds cliche, but if I could do it, anybody out there that is still struggling can do it too. That's awesome. I'm also breaking the cycle. AM alcoholic. However, since February 27, 87, the devil's urine has not touched my lips. Congrats. 34 years is impressive AF. I'm only on my 11th year. Shit is horrific. I ended up homeless and lost all friends. Managed to get into contact with family across the pond in Scotland. Got a flight home. After a couple of years and falling out with all my family, I met a woman. Completely changed my life. I gave up the drink for good. Since then I've gotten married, became a father to 3 beautiful, smart and funny children, graduated university and hope to start a PhD next year. So for anyone struggling, it can most definitely be overcome. Fuck, I managed it, and I'm nothing special. Your internal clock is still fucked up from the pandemic. It's been 37 years since 87. 5 DWIS and the last one was 0.326. On a Harley with a gun, it was loaded. On arrest I resisted, violently. The legal limit here is 0.08. There is nothing funny about 2 heavily armed, well-trained men, in a fist fight, downtown, in a residential area. This did not make me stop drinking, but it was the same year that shit got bad enough for me to stop. My little sister asked me, please stop, while I was in a 45-day stay in intensive care after a car crash I was a passenger in, and even then when she stood over me while I was in a full body cast it went like this. Andrew, please stop. With tears in her eyes and mine, all I asked is, why? She just said, because I love you, I never drank again. It's been 8 years. Not a drop. Never again. My uncle was drinking his life away after Vietnam. One day he got out of a cab, stumbled to his apartment building, and fell through the front glass door, sliced open his throat on the way down. The cabbie was still there watching him, jumped out, called 911 from a payphone and used his shirt to try and stop the bleeding while an ambulance came. Uncle survived, and managed to find the cabbie later to thank him for saving his life, and he told my uncle, don't waste it. He quit drinking that day, stayed sober for the rest of his life. I started when I was 14, alcohol and nicotine. It was the typical story, a need to fit in and honestly, a fun time with friends. As the years progressed it became a norm on weekends. College. Forget about it. Parties every weekend. Game days at a big football school. Turned 21. $2 Tuesdays. Wine Wednesdays / karaoke Wednesdays. Thirsty Thursday. Of course we have to party on Friday and Saturday. It's the weekend. Sunday is game day, so of course we have to honor it. Well, I loved it. I met girls easier. I had a lot to do in my free time. So much so that I ignored all other obligations. My obligation was drinking. Right before COVID hit, life took a turn fast. I got a cow before the pandemic broke out. My dad was in the hospital. He's always been sicker, so I moved home to take care of him. Pandemic. Taking care of my father as he goes in and out of the hospital every other month. My aunt at home gets lung cancer. I'm full-time retail to help my family. At this point, I ditched school. Whatever, right. Life is changing fast and I have other priorities. Got a new relationship. An amazing girl. What didn't change was my drinking. I drank more honestly. Fast forward a few years to sum up. Dad and aunt get sicker, hospital trips more frequent, working full-time, and the pandemic is basically done, so I go back to school. So alcohol galore relationship is getting strained, I continue to drink, and then I proceed to black out 3 to 4 times a week. Relationship equals ruined all my money my family needed equals drank up school equals abandoned health equals depressed and anxious. Still blacking out father equals passed away in my kitchen, with me having to do CPR and failing, even though I just got certified aunt equals getting weaker. That was the last few years, with my dad passing last year. This 2024, full of drinking, and terrible mental health, and going broke and making more problems, pushing people away, etc. This story is very abridged. And there's so much I could say about regret, shame, and my mental health overall. I'm 24, and see no future. I regret most of my past. That's abysmal. I have so many friends, and even in their presence I just black out and cause problems. I can hardly look myself in the eyes. Today I'm 30 days sober for the first time since 14. I could keep up that life. It might be the shame and regret, or the desire for more, or the desire to not continue to let my mom down. I'm also going into nursing with a burning urge to save someone's life the way I couldn't save my dad's. So yeah, there's a lot of reasons for not drinking. I'm trying to unpack them and face myself now. Yesterday was the 28th anniversary of my last drink. I wouldn't say that I officially had a drinking problem, but I was laying a good foundation for one. I have poor impulse control at the best of times, and it drops to zero when I am drinking. Basically, once I start, I don't know when to stop. I was dating a pretty special girl at the time. I was at my work Christmas party, and she couldn't make it. I decided that I was going to get plastered and have a good time without her. I went up to the bar and ordered a rye and Coke. I took one sip of it and looked up at the mirror behind the bar. As I looked at my reflection, a voice in my head said, "If you continue down this path, you'll lose her." I grew up with an alcoholic father, and I saw how it destroyed my family. I didn't want to do that to her. I pushed the drink back to the bartender and asked for a Coke instead. I haven't had a drop of alcohol since. By the way, we celebrate our 27th anniversary next year. To be honest, alcohol has never tasted good to me. I've tried beer, wine, cocktails, but none of it was enjoyable. If I'm going to spend money and time on something already, it should be enjoyable and not feel like I'm forcing myself. Plus, I'm already used to being able to have fun on par with everyone else without drinking, so I've never had a reason to change my routine. Why don't you drink alcohol? Write in the comments. Also, do you want a second part? Thanks for watching. Subscribe. Bye.